Hello friends, this is Sanjay. In today's video, we will be covering the 30 EVS questions from the CTET Paper 1, July 2019. This is the English version of the video where I have covered all the questions and explained them in English. If you prefer Hindi explanations, there is a different video on our channel where I have covered the same questions in Hindi as well. So let's get started with the questions. In this question, we are told that the elders tell us that in the olden times, that is 25 to 30 years ago, there was sufficient water in many wells, but now these wells are completely dried up. And there have been 4 statements given under the question. And we have to identify which of these statements are correct reasons for the drying up of the wells. And the first statement is the lakes and ponds in which rainwater used to collect are no longer there. This is a valid reason for drying up of wells because the water in the wells is essentially groundwater, and the water that collects in the lakes and ponds is actually recharging that groundwater by percolating through the soil. If there are no lakes and ponds, then naturally the groundwater will be depleted or will reduce, and therefore the wells will dry up. Therefore, this is a valid reason. The next statement is the soil around the trees, wells and nearby areas are now covered with coal, tar and cement. Now, this is also a correct statement. Coal tar is used for making roads and cement is used for making surfaces. Now these are not permeable in the sense when rainwater falls on these, it does not percolate through the ground and reach the groundwater. Therefore, if the soil around the trees, wells and nearby areas is covered with the coal tar and cement, then the rainwater is just flowing away. It is not going into the soil and recharging the groundwater. Therefore, this is also a reason why the groundwater is depleting and the wells are drying up. And statement C says no one is using the wells as there are taps in every house. If nobody is using wells, it does not lead to depletion of the water. The wells may become disused, the water may become dirty, but it does not lead to depletion of the water. Therefore, this is an incorrect statement. The last statement is a number of electric motor driven pumps have come up to draw the groundwater. If statement A is correct, saying that groundwater is not getting recharged because there are no lakes and ponds, and statement B is also correct, saying that groundwater is not getting recharged because the soil is now being covered by coal tar and cement. So, which means that groundwater is reducing. And on top of that, if you add electric motor driven pumps, which will suck up large quantities of groundwater on a regular basis, then the groundwater naturally becomes less and less and less, and the wells will dry up. Therefore, this is also a valid reason. Since A, B and D are valid reasons for the drying up of the wells, the answer here is A, B and D. In EVS, concepts and issues have not been compartmentalized into science and social sciences. Why? So, as you are aware, EVS is essentially a subject which integrates sciences, social sciences and environmental studies. And the question is asking us, why is it that our concepts and issues in EVS are actually taught in a combined manner? Now, I can give you a small example. For example, in some of the EVS textbooks, you will learn about farmers, which is under various types of occupations. And while learning about farmers, you will also learn about different types of crops, that is food crops and cash crops. And you will also try to understand what are the different types of food crops, in the sense of what are the different types of nutrients found in various food crops. And you will also get an overview of how these crops are actually grown. In the sense, what is the process that is used. Now, if you look at this, this is essentially an integrated approach where you are looking at all the aspects, the social aspects and the scientific aspects of farming. Now, if you look at the answer choices, the first one says the child looks at his or her environment in a holistic manner. Now, this is the correct answer because by using this integrated approach, you are not just teaching about farmers and occupations. You are looking at it in a more integrated manner where you are looking at the social aspects and you are also looking at the scientific aspects in the same lesson. Therefore, the holistic approach is what EVS is all about. If you look at the other options, it says it is a good teaching and learning strategy. It might be good, but this is not the best answer here. And it is for decreasing the syllabus load. This is an incorrect answer. And the last one says syllabus of EVS has been prescribed as such by CBSE. While this may be correct, this is not the reason why that such a syllabus has been designed. The reason why CBSE has designed such an integrated syllabus is again to use a holistic approach. Therefore, this also is not a correct option. In which of the following cities mountains of sand called sand dunes are found? Now this question has been taken from the class 4 EVS textbook from a chapter titled Home and Abroad. In that chapter, it is mentioned that sand dunes are found in the desert, and Abu Dhabi, which is in the Middle East, is a city which is very near to the desert. Therefore, you can find sand dunes in Abu Dhabi. In EVS, themes have been proposed instead of topics in the syllabus. Why is that? Now, as you are aware, EVS follows an integrated approach. That is, EVS integrates science, social sciences, and environmental studies. Now, to ensure that this integrated approach is followed in the syllabus, EVS uses themes instead of specific topics, because in a theme, you can actually study multiple topics. Now, when you look at the answer choices, the first one says to enhance the environmental comprehension of the learners. This is incorrect because we are only talking about environmental comprehension here. The second option is for developing connected and interrelated understanding of issues of the learner's local environment. This is the correct answer because what we are doing is we are connecting science and social sciences and environmental sciences and explaining the interrelation between them. Therefore, this is the correct answer. And theme-based EVS transaction is easy as compared to the topics. Now this is an incorrect option. And for reducing the number of chapters in EVS, this is absolutely incorrect. Which one of the following is not one of the 6 broad themes of EVS in the present syllabus? Now, as you are aware, EVS follows themes and there are 6 themes. And the first theme, which is family and friends, has 4 sub-themes. Now they are asking us which of the following is not one of the themes. So when we look at it, shelter is a theme. Things we make and do is also a theme. Work and play is actually a sub-theme under family and friends. And food is a theme. Therefore here work and play, which is a sub-theme under family and friends, is not a theme. Therefore this is the correct answer here. Which of the following is true with respect to EVS subject for classes 1 and 2? Now, the first option is issues and concerns related to EVS are transacted through language and mathematics. This is a correct answer. The next option is EVS is a new subject introduced to classes 1 and 2. Now, this is incorrect because EVS is actually introduced in classes 3, 4 and 5. And EVS as a subject is not easy to understand at classes 1 and 2. This is also incorrect. Actually, EVS is taught right from first standard onwards, even if it is not a separate subject. And issues and concerns related to EVS are transacted through language. Now, this is partially correct because it is not just language, but it should also be mathematics. Therefore, this is partially correct and we will eliminate this. Now, you should always remember that EVS is actually introduced right from class 1 onwards. However, in class 1 and 2, EVS is taught through simple language and simple mathematics. Whereas in classes 3, 4 and 5, EVS is taught as a separate standalone subject. Which one of the following is very important in construction of knowledge in EVS? Now, when we look at the statements, the first says active participation of the learner. Now, this is very, very important not only in EVS, but any other subjects for that matter, because if the learner is not actively participating in the learning process, the learner is not involved, then the teaching will automatically fail. Therefore, active participation of the learner is very, very important. Next, relating the child's knowledge to the teacher's knowledge. Now, this is not so important because the child's knowledge has to be related to the local knowledge and not the teacher's knowledge. And this is what is mentioned in the EVS syllabus as well. So this can be discarded. Next, learning EVS outside the 4 walls of the classroom. This is a correct statement because it is also clearly mentioned in the EVS syllabus and also in the foreword of the EVS textbook that just textbooks are not the source of knowledge. EVS should be taught in such a way that the child will learn EVS outside the classroom as well. through his experiences, through his interaction with the community. Therefore, EVS learning outside the four walls of the classroom is a correct statement, and it is very important. The last one is relating the child's local language to the school knowledge. This is absolutely correct, because what you are teaching in the school is theory, and the child should actually be able to relate this theory to what is happening in the real life, which is local knowledge. Therefore, relating the child's local knowledge to the school knowledge is also very, very important. Therefore, this is also correct. Now, since A, C and D are correct, the last option A, C and D will be the correct answer here. The most effective strategy to engage learners in EVS is what? That is, among the four given options, which one is the most effective way of teaching EVS? Now, if you remember, the teaching of EVS starts from class 1 onwards. In class 1 and 2, EVS is not taught as a separate subject, but it is taught through simple language and mathematics. And EVS is taught as a separate subject from class 3 onwards, in 3, 4 and 5. Now, till class 5, these are still very young children, very small children, and children like stories. So now, if you look at the options, the first one is reading of a textbook. Now, reading of a textbook can be quite boring. Therefore, this cannot be the best strategy. Then, explanation by the teacher. Explanation may be better than reading a textbook, but this again can be very boring if you are explaining a concept to children. Therefore, we'll eliminate this. Third one, classroom demonstration. Now, this is better than just explanation. Therefore, this can be an option, but since there is a better option available, we'll discard this as well. The last option is narratives. So narratives are essentially stories. So if you tell a story to children and teach a concept or a theory through a story, they are better able to understand that and they are able to relate to it as well. Therefore, narratives or stories is the most effective strategy to engage learners in EVS and keep them interested in the subject. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. Which one of the following statements is not true with respect to EVS? Now, when we look at the statements, the first one says EVS is based on child-centered learning. Now, when you read the EVS syllabus document or refer to the NCF or even look at the introduction of any of the EVS textbooks, you'll see that there is a lot of emphasis given to the fact that EVS should be child-centered. And in fact, all subjects should be child-centric. Therefore, this is a true statement. Next, EVS provides opportunities to the learner to explore their environment. This is also absolutely correct because EVS gives a lot of importance to experience and exploration and experimentation. This is hands-on learning. Therefore, it provides opportunities to learners to explore their environment, and this is a correct statement. Next, EVS emphasizes on descriptions and definitions. This is not true because it is clearly mentioned in the NCF document and also in the introduction of one of the EVS textbooks that there is very little emphasis given in the textbook for descriptions and definitions. Therefore, this is not true with respect to EVS. Therefore, we select this. The last one says the nature of EVS is integrated. This is a correct statement because as we have seen, EVS is actually an integration of science, social science and environmental studies. So this is a correct statement. A teacher always begins by conducting activities followed by questions and discussions. The objective of conducting activities, questions and discussions is to do which of the following? Now when we look at the four options and quickly read through them, the last one says discriminate between the children based on their pace of learning. Now any form of discrimination is absolutely not allowed in any school. Therefore, this is an incorrect statement. Therefore, any of the answer choices which has D in it will be incorrect. Therefore, we can directly eliminate B, C and D and D only. Now, when we read the other statements, the first one says assess the child's process skills. This is correct. You want to understand how well the child is able to explain something or put something in a context and how well the child has understood the basics. Therefore, to assess the child's process skills, all these activities and questions and discussions are conducted. Therefore, A is correct. And B says provide an opportunity to the children to explore. Absolutely, because EVS gives a lot of importance and emphasis on exploration, experimentation and self-learning. Therefore, this is also a true statement. Next, provide an opportunity for the children to express themselves. This is also absolutely correct because you are giving all the children an opportunity to explain things, to participate in the process of teaching and learning. Therefore, A, B and C, all three are correct. Therefore, this is the correct answer. Children should be encouraged to tap sources other than textbooks and teachers in EVS. Why? Now, this is a very easy question if you know how to approach this question and use the answer choices correctly to find the correct answer. Now, one of the basic concepts in EVS is that the knowledge in EVS, the teaching and learning of EVS, is not restricted to the classroom and to the textbooks, right? And you are aware that in the EVS syllabus document, in the NCF document, and also in the foreword or the introduction to the EVS textbooks, it is clearly written that children should be encouraged to learn EVS through experience and exploration and look at resources outside the classroom. Now, textbook and teacher are not the only sources of EVS learning. So this is something that you know is an absolutely correct statement, which means that the answer choice should definitely have A in it. Now, when you look at all the four options, only one option has A in it. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. Now, even without evaluating the other options or the other statements, you can easily identify that the first option is the correct answer here. Now, let us also look at the other statements. The next one says, it will promote the involvement of the parents and the communities. Now, this is correct, absolutely correct, because when children learn outside the classroom and interact with their communities, their family, and they learn a lot of things through that process also. Therefore, it will promote the involvement of the parents and the communities. This is a true statement. Next, it will provide an opportunity to teachers to know the child's background. For example, if a child comes from a business background where the child's parents are engaged in some business, so the child may be easily able to understand business related discussions in the classroom, and the teacher can easily ascertain, okay, that this child is able to understand these concepts because he already is seeing these concepts in real life in his family. Therefore, it will provide an opportunity for the teacher to know the child's background. This is also correct. Now, the last one, it will develop psychomotor skills and aesthetic sense of the children, is also correct to certain extent. So this is also not an incorrect statement. So this is also correct. However, we have to select the option which has the best three options among these four. And we know that A is the best one. Therefore, the first one, which has A, has to be the correct answer here. Which of the following should not be indicators for assessment in EVS? Now, this is a question that can be answered in two ways. One is if you have read the EVS syllabus document or the EVS learning outcomes document or even the NCF document. Therein, 10 EVS assessment indicators have been listed. These are observation and reporting, discussion, expression, explanation, classification, questioning, analysis, experimentation, concern for justice and equality, and cooperation. Now, this list of 10 assessment indicators is something that you should read, remember, and understand, because every year there will be at least 1 or 2 questions about these indicators for assessment in EVS. Now, if you remember this list, you can see that cooperation is listed under the indicators. Remembering is not listed under the indicators. Questioning is again specifically listed, and concern for justice and equality is also listed. Therefore, concern for justice and equality, cooperation, and questioning are indicators for assessment, whereas remembering is not an indicator. Therefore, this is the answer here. Now, this question can also be answered in another way. That is, even if you don't remember these assessment indicators, when you just read through the options, you can see that remembering is essentially mugging up or rote learning. And when it comes to EVS, the one thing that has been specifically discouraged is that in EVS, children should not be forced to mug up or just remember in something without actually understanding it. Therefore, just remembering is something that is not an indicator for assessment in EVS. Therefore, you can answer this question either because you are familiar with the indicators, or you can answer through your common sense as well. In EVS, teachers should provide opportunities to children to assess themselves, and self-assessment is known as which of the following? Now, this assessment as learning, of learning and for learning are concepts that you should be familiar with, because almost every year there will be at least one question around one of these. So now, assessment as learning is nothing but self-assessment. Therefore, that will be the correct answer here. Now the second one, assessment of learning, is the formal assessment that is conducted by the teacher. These can be the tests or the exams or the assignments. Therefore, assessment of learning is the formal assessment conducted by the teacher. And assessment for learning is part of the teaching learning process. This is relatively informal, and this happens during the teaching learning process itself. During the lesson, the teacher may suddenly ask a question just to understand what the children have understood so far. So that is assessment for learning. So self-assessment is assessment as learning. Assessment by the teacher, the formal assessments like exams and tests, are assessment of learning. And the assessment that happens during the teaching process is assessment for learning. A teacher conducts an experiment on how food gets spoiled. And the teacher makes groups of learners and provides them with the material related to the experiment. Why does the teacher form groups of learners? Now, this question is essentially asking us to identify why is the teacher relying upon group activities. Now, the points that you need to remember is group learning is something that is highly encouraged in EVS because it encourages peer learning, where students or the learners learn from each other. And group learning also encourages social interaction because the children are interacting with each other, and somebody becomes a leader, somebody becomes a follower, somebody wants everybody to say he is doing a good job, somebody wants to fit in with the group. So different types of social interactions happen when people are working in a group. So children learn social skills when they participate in group activities. So group learning is related to peer learning, and it is also related to social interaction. So now with this information, look at the answer choices. The first one says it promotes peer learning. This is a correct statement. The second one says it improves social interaction. This is also correct. And the third one says group learning is effective way of learning EVS without burden. This is also partially correct. It is not an incorrect statement, but it might not be completely correct. And the last one is group learning is an essential strategy to maintain discipline in the class. Whenever you see this word discipline in any of the answer choices, immediately eliminate that. So look at the answer choices. All the answer choices have only two options each. So now we have to select the one with the best options. Since A and B are the best options here, let's find the option which has A and B. The last one has A and B. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer here. Which of the following is not the objective of teaching EVS? Now, when we look at the answer choices, the first one says to develop an awareness about environmental issues. This is definitely an objective of EVS because EVS is a combination of science and social science and environmental science. Therefore, the first one is a correct statement. The next one is to engage the child in exploratory and hands-on activities. Now, EVS encourages hands-on learning and experiential learning and experimentation. Therefore, this is also a correct statement. The third statement is to encourage children to provide textbook definitions. Now, the one thing that EVS definitely discourages is memorization and textbook definitions. Therefore, this is not the objective of teaching EVS. Therefore, this is the answer here. And the last one is to nurture the curiosity and creativity of the child. This definitely is an objective of teaching EVS. Now, to answer this question more authoritatively, you can refer to the EVS syllabus or the preliminary part, that is the introduction part of any of the EVS textbooks where these concepts have been clearly explained. Picture reading is an important activity in EVS. Which of the following indicator or indicators of learners can be assessed through picture reading? Now, before looking at the options, let's look at the activity that is being conducted here. Children are given a picture such as a treasure map, and they are asked to identify things like what are the things that you can see on this island, or how will you reach the treasure, or what are the dangers that you see on this island. Now, the first thing that children have to do is they have to observe and record what they are seeing on this island, and then they have to analyze whatever information they are observing and recording. And when they have to answer the question, they have to express themselves. Now there is a very minimal scope for any experimentation in this, because this is not a hands-on activity in that sense. They are looking at a picture, they are observing and recording the information, they are analyzing the information they are getting, and then they will express the information when you ask them. So the best three options are A, B and C. Now if you look at the answer choices, the first one has A, B and C. So this is the most comprehensive answer choice. So we can select this. Which technique is used in a rating scale? That is, when a teacher has to assess a student using a rating scale methodology, then which is the technique that is used? Now a rating scale looks like something like this. So if you are trying to assess a child on several parameters, such as what are the analytical skills of the child, how does the child express himself or herself, what are the presentation skills of the child, what is the creativity level, what is the teamwork attribute. So if you have to rate a child on all such skills or abilities, then you will use a rating scale. You will say in terms of analysis, the child is average, so you'll mark him as 3. In expression, you'll say the child is exceptionally good, so you'll mark him as 4. In presentation, you'll say the child has to improve, so maybe you might mark him as 2. So now, to be able to rate a child using a rating scale, you have to first observe the child. So the skill that is used, or the technique that is used to rate a child using a rating scale, is observation. So now checklist, assignments and written questions are not useful here. First you have to observe the child, you have to look at how the child is performing against all these attributes, and only then you will be able to rate the child using a rating scale. Consider the following statements about the practices followed under Jhoom farming. Now Jhoom farming is a type of farming that is popular in the northeastern states of India, such as Mizoram or Arunachal Pradesh. Now, to understand what is Jhoom farming, at first, after one crop is taken out, the land is not disturbed at all. It is left as it is for a few years so that it rejuvenates. And then bamboo and the weeds which grow on the land are not pulled out. They are just cut and burnt as it is on the field itself. And the ash that comes out when you burn the bamboo and the weeds that have grown on that particular piece of land become fertilizer. And then the land is lightly dug up, just small furrows are made, and the seeds are dropped in those furrows. And when the vegetables are, when the crops are again grown, they are again cut and the land is again left as it is for a few years so that it rejuvenates. So this is Jhoom farming. Now when you look at the answer choices, the statements given in the question, the first one says after obtaining one set of crops, the land is left as it is for few years. So this is a correct statement. The next one is the bamboo or weeds which grow on the land are pulled out and burnt. They are not pulled out and burnt. They are just merely cut and burnt on the farm itself. Therefore, because it says pulled out and burnt and it doesn't say cut and burnt, so this is an incorrect statement. The next one is the ash obtained on burning the weeds etc. is used as a fertilizer. This is also a true statement, because the ash that comes out after the weeds and the bamboos are burnt, it becomes fertilizer on the farm itself or on the land itself where it is burnt. And then the last one is when the land is ready for farming, it is deeply plowed before dropping the seed. This is incorrect, because the farm or the land is not deeply plowed. It is lightly plowed, just furrows are made. Therefore, this is incorrect. Now here A and C are correct statements. However, when we look at the answer choices, there is no answer choice which says A and C. We know that only A is correct. Now D as such is incorrect. Therefore, A and D cannot be the answer choice. And B is incorrect. Therefore, B and C cannot be the answer choice. And D is incorrect. So only D cannot be the answer choice. So among the given options, only A is the best answer here. However, if there was an answer choice saying A and C, that would have been the correct answer. Because there is no A and C, only A is the best option here. In a hilly area, it was observed that people have built their houses using stones, mud, lime and wood. Their houses have 2 floors. On the ground floor, they provide space for animals and also store necessary things. And on the first floor, they stay. The roofs of the house are flat and made of thick tree trunks. This hilly area is part of which state of India? Now this question has been taken from the EVS class 3 textbook from a chapter called A House Like That. In that chapter, it is mentioned that in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, in the rural parts of Jammu and Kashmir, houses are built of stones, mud, lime and wood, and they have 2 floors, and on the ground floor they keep animals and use it for storage, and the people actually live on the first floor. So the correct answer here is Jammu and Kashmir. Now you have to necessarily read this particular chapter, that is class 3 textbook, A House Like That, because there are different types of houses that are mentioned there which are prevalent in different rural parts of India, and at least one question comes from this chapter every year. Therefore this chapter is very important for your EVS preparation. It is believed that animals that are awake at night can see objects in which of the following colors? Now think of it like a night vision camera. A night vision camera or an infrared camera which can see well in almost total darkness or in very little light, the image will be visible in black and white. Therefore, the correct answer here is black and white, and it is believed that animals which can see very well at night usually see things in black and white. Earthworms are considered friends of the farmers. Select the following reasons for the same. Now when we look at the statements, the second statement says earthworms eat the weeds and save the main crop. Now earthworms are inside the ground. They don't come up and they don't eat weeds. Therefore B is an incorrect statement. Now any answer option that has B in it will be incorrect. Therefore we can straight away eliminate the first option and the last option because they have B in it. Now we are left with 2 options. Now let's read the statements again. The first one says earthworms eat the dead leaves and plants and their droppings fertilize the soil. Now this is absolutely correct. So any answer choice must have A in it, and both of these have A. Now let's look at option D, because the only differentiator between these two is option D. Option D says that tunnels made by the earthworms provide easy passage to air and water into the soil. This is also absolutely correct, because when the earthworms go through the soil, they dig through the soil, they make tunnels, and through this tunnel water can easily percolate through the soil. Therefore D is also correct. And when we look at statement C, it says earthworms soften the soil by digging underneath. This is also correct. Therefore A, C and D, all the 3 are correct. Therefore the best option here is A, C and D. This is the correct answer. In this question we have been given 4 statements and we have to identify which one of the following is most correct about bronze. Now you have to memorize and remember that brass is an alloy of copper and zinc, whereas bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. Now the first option says it is a mixture of copper and brass. This is incorrect, because bronze is a mixture of copper and tin, not copper and brass. Therefore this is incorrect. Next, it is a mixture of copper, zinc and aluminium. Now bronze is copper plus tin. It is not copper, zinc and aluminium. Therefore this is also incorrect. Then it is a mixture of copper and tin. This is a correct statement, because bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. The last one says it is an element like aluminium and copper. This is also incorrect, because bronze and also brass are actually alloys of 2 different metals. Therefore this is also an incorrect statement. Boiled tapioca with any curry made using coconut is preferred food in the people of which state? Now in the EVS textbook there is a chapter which talks about the preferred food in various states of India, and in that chapter it is mentioned that in Kerala people like to eat boiled tapioca and coconut curry. Therefore the correct answer here is Kerala. Select from the following a set of festivals celebrated on the full moon day. Now to answer questions like this, if you can remember at least 2 festivals which are celebrated on a full moon day or a Purnamashi, you can select the correct answer by a process of elimination. For example, if you remember that Guru Purab, that is Guru Nanak's birthday, is celebrated on a Purnamashi, And Holi is also celebrated on a Puranmashi or a full moon day. Now, the correct answer among these should have both Guru Purab and Holi. Now, the first one has Holi in it, but it does not have Guru Purab. Therefore, this can be eliminated. The next one has Holi in it and also has Guru Nanak's birthday or Guru Purab. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer because the other two options have Guru Nanak's birthday in it, but they don't mention Holi. Therefore, these two also can be eliminated. Which one of the following groups of states has a coast on Arabian Sea? Now, this is a very frequently asked question because almost every year there is one question which asks us to identify the states which have a coast on the Arabian Sea or towards the Bay of Bengal. Now, when we look at the Arabian Sea, the options can be Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka and Kerala. Now, let's look at the answer choices. The first one has Andhra Pradesh in it. Andhra Pradesh is towards the Bay of Bengal. Therefore, this cannot be an answer choice. Next is Kerala, Karnataka and West Bengal. Now again, West Bengal falls towards the Bay of Bengal. Therefore, this also cannot be an answer choice. The third one is Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. Now, Tamil Nadu comes towards the Bay of Bengal. Therefore, this also cannot be an answer choice. The last one is Karnataka, Kerala and Gujarat. So, this is the correct answer because as you can see, Gujarat and Karnataka and Kerala are all towards the Arabian Sea. Therefore, this is the correct answer. Where is Jharkhand located on the map of our country? Now, to answer questions like this, you have to be familiar with the map of India, what are the various states, and in addition, you should be familiar with the capitals of the various states and the union territories in India. Now, here we are being asked to locate Jharkhand on the map, and the answer choices are actually giving us coordinates, and since they are giving us some directions with respect to some of the other states. Now, Jharkhand is here in the map, and the first option says Jharkhand is towards the east of West Bengal. Now, West Bengal is here, and Jharkhand is actually towards the west of West Bengal and not east of West Bengal. Therefore, this answer choice can be eliminated. The next one says Jharkhand is towards the north of Odisha. Now, Odisha is here and the north direction will be like this. Therefore, this statement is correct because Jharkhand is actually towards the north of Odisha. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. Let's also look at the other two options. The next one says southeast of Chhattisgarh. Now, Jharkhand is here and Chhattisgarh is here. And Jharkhand is actually towards the northeastern direction from Chhattisgarh. Therefore, southeast makes this statement wrong. And the last one says west of Uttar Pradesh. Now, Uttar Pradesh is here and Jharkhand is here. And Jharkhand is actually towards the southeast of Uttar Pradesh and not towards the west. Therefore, this also is an incorrect statement. Which of the following is not obtained from petroleum? Now, if you look at the four given options, wax, grease and diesel are all petroleum products, whereas coal is actually extracted from coal mines. It is not a petroleum product. Therefore, the correct answer is coal. In this question, we are told that a boy boarded a train on the 30th June 2019 at Madgaon, and the train was going towards Nagercoil. The train departed at 9:45 hours on 30th June from Madgaon and reached Nagercoil the next day at 7:15 hours. And if the distance covered by the train during this time interval was 1140 kilometers, we have to calculate what was the average speed of the train. Now, the train travelled over a time period of 2 days, right, on 30th and 1st. So, if it started on the 30th at 09:45, and we have to remember, since we are talking about trains here, the time that is mentioned here will also be in railway timing, that is the 24-hour clock. So which means that if it departed at 9:45, it would be 9:45 in the morning, and we can assume that it has travelled continuously till midnight, that is 00:00. So it would have travelled for a total time of 14 hours and 15 minutes on day 1. The next day, it reached Madgaon at 7:15, and we can say that we can start the calculation from 00:01, that is 1 minute past midnight. So which means that on the second day, it has travelled for a total time of 7 hours and 15 minutes. So if we add both of these together, we'll get 21 hours and 30 minutes, which is 21.5 hours. Now, the total distance covered by the train during this time was 1140 kilometer. So, if you divide 1140 by 21.5, to make it easier to divide, you can just multiply both of these with 10. So, you will get 11400 divided by 215. So, if you divide this, you will get 53, which is 53 kilometers per hour, which is the speed at which the train covered these 1140 kilometers. Therefore, the answer is 53 kilometers per hour. In one of the forests in our country, the village council, that is a Panchayat, allots land to the forest people, that is the Adivasis, for farming in a special unit called tin. So what is this tin? Now, this question is referring to a practice that is followed in the state of Mizoram, where there is a unit of measurement called the tin. Now, a tin is essentially a land on which a farmer can grow 1 tin of seeds. Therefore, the correct answer is a land on which the farmer can grow 1 tin of seeds. You are located at X and your school is at Y. So, there is no straight path from your house to the school, which means that you are at a point X, which is also your house, and there is no straight path to your school, which is at a point Y. So you first go to A, which is 30 meters due north of X, which means that you travel towards the north direction to reach a point A, which is 30 meters away. And then go to B, which is 40 meters due west of A, which means that from here you will travel towards the western direction for a distance of 40 meters and you will reach a point B. And then go to C, which is 30 meters due north of B, which means that again from here you will travel towards the northern direction for a distance of 30 meters and you will reach one point C. And finally you reach your school at Y, which is 40 meters due west of C, which means that from C again you will walk towards the western direction and reach this point Y, which is 40 meters away from C. So with respect to your school, the correct direction of your house is what? So which means that if you stand at Y, your school, and look towards your house, so your house is in which direction? So your house will be in this direction, and that happens to be southeast. Therefore the correct answer here is southeast. And with that, we have completed the 30 EVS questions from this question paper. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, please do post them in the comments below. And please do like this video, share and subscribe to our channel. And if your friends are also preparing for a similar exam, make sure that you pass on this video or share this video with them as well. Thank you. And I will see you again in the next video. Till then, take care, stay safe and see you soon.